All right. Hey, how's everybody doing out there? I don't know what to say, really. This has been a tough day, huh? I feel it's a really heavy moment in the world, in America especially. And um, I'm Citizen JD. And this is going out to all the people out there who are struggling, like me. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. And I'm not just doing this to try to be funny, though I want to keep it lighthearted. Can we do that? Walk the dog. This is where we are. I got to start by saying I walked the dog, and we walked down the sidewalk. And me and that big old guy had a good walk. And over the fence popped two kids and said, "Hey, like your dog?" I said, "Thanks, thanks." That really made my night. It was very kind of them. I could hear them calling from the treehouse, but I couldn't quite spot their location. I couldn't identify them. I could not locate them by global positioning system, latitude and longitude. So that's all right. I wish them well. Another fine lady walked by as she was walking with her son as he was riding his bike. Nothing like riding your bike on a summer night. And then she said, "Hello, look at that dog. What a big old dude." And I was like, "Yes, he's big, he's brown, he's all over town." And she seemed to be pretty happy about that. And it was very kind of her to compliment the dog. I said he's big and friendly, but he won't bite. Just to wear this harness on his fucking nose, because he'll pull my arm off. It was nice. And then the rest of the evening was just me doing that normal route around the track in full out of Washington, because the football crowds were out. The dads and the moms rooting on the youngins in the young gladiator sport. And then cars coming and going, driving by, other dog walkers. But it occurred to me, and as it has on a daily basis, nobody was out marching. No one was out marching the streets as we watch the senior leadership of the Centers for Disease Control beg off. It looks like that Health and Human Services
Did you holler at
and Health and trying to make a video. You know you're going to be a YouTube star, and what happens? You get interrupted by your wife.
That's hot.
No, thanks. And so, Centers for Disease Control, maybe vaccines are a thing of the past. Maybe they will be. That's why I just got 3 in one arm.
A friend joined you.
Okay. Dude, I'm not going to start this all over again.
Okay.
Wow.
Come on.
So anyway, things are tough all over. Armed fucking National Guardsmen in the city of Washington, the nation's capital, place we used to walk with my father on a regular basis. He'd show us the monuments and the museums and the people and the hot dog carts and stands. And we loved every minute of it. I mean, how many hot dogs can you fit in there? I love hot dogs. And I love Washington, D.C. And so to think about this from a serious standpoint, we are now, let's just say, where's the tipping point? Well, we're past it. We're definitely sliding at full speed down the mountainside into authoritarianism. And every day is another hit, and all we do is react to it. And I love my social media, and I'm getting into Substack, and Blue Sky's been a little bit of fun too. And I'm finding some great commentators on there. But I'll tell you right now, this brain is big. There's a lot of brain up there. A lot of brain. My mama taught me well. My mama taught me how growing up in democracy. Even though we're people there like Reagan with a missile up his sleeve. To borrow the great Warren Haynes line for one of his famous songs. Well, famous to me. The Carney, with the Carney smile, missile up his sleeve. Bye-bye, FAA controllers. So, I'm from the generation that watched and heard about the Space Shuttle Challenger, exploding on launch. Good thing I got this facial effect to talk about that. And about a week and a half later, my mother collapsed on the floor of the bedroom. And nothing's ever been the same up in here. So I grew up in that generation that knew all about certainty. And I won't even label it or name it or all the stuff we're doing nowadays. I just grew up in that generation. Okay, we became the generation known for drinking out of the water hose. But we got our share of tough times and changing times, and rapidly changing times. Nothing what we're seeing today. Nothing like what we're seeing today. People often joke on here. They do the not joking. I mean, it's a good kind of psychological insight. Are you going to be the kind of person that's up against it, back against the wall, and you hit fight, flight, or freeze? Which one of those are you going to choose when the time's right? Are you going to freeze? Are you going to flee? Or are you going to fight? I keep asking myself that. What am I doing here? Am I going along with the status quo? Am I freezing a bit? Yeah, I think I'm freezing a bit. I know there's a fight impulse. I can feel it every day. But at the end of the day, I'm freezing. I just feel like I'm freezing. And I love and appreciate and deeply respect what's going on with the news from the local, from the individual, solitary, listener-supported news deliverer. I love JoJo from Jurors and Midas and Robert Reich, I believe it is. All these other great personalities that are delivering some great content. Is it the story that Dan Rather's behind now? I don't know. I can't quote these things that well off the top of my head. But what I do know is listening and reacting to it over and over again is not doing anything for me. And I've done a few marches and I've been to a few protests, but there's still not enough of us out there. There's still not enough people standing their ground, drawing the line, rising up, Arab Spring style resistance. How much more are we going to take? We don't have a lot of time. We need to get this going. Everybody's out there with the kids at the football field. Everybody's walking the dog. Hey, it's a nice evening. So let's be social. Let's be kind. And now let's step back in time. And let's have a little bit of history. Let's do some history reading. I'm going to try videos that feature chapters from the great Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny. 20 lessons from the 20th century. Okay, and I'll just pick a chapter now and then. Chapter 8, Stand Out. Timothy Snyder. This is his work. Someone has to. It is easy to follow along. It can feel strange to do or say something different. But without that unease, there is no freedom. Remember Rosa Parks. The moment you set an example, the spell of the status quo is broken, and others will follow. Now, each chapter, this incredible compendium of lessons about being aware of history and knowing your history and knowing tyranny, all 20 of them, is a phenomenal, small, very affordable reader, pocket reader. Put it in the briefcase, the purse, keep it in the car, take it with you to the doctor's office, share it at happy hour, doesn't matter, right? So in chapter 8, Stand Out. Each chapter goes a little bit more in depth and it brings in some sort of historical relevance where we faced as a people, as humans, as Eastern Europe faced a growing authoritarian threat, a growing tyrannical threat, right? In June 1940, let's go back to that time. This should strike a chord with some of you, probably all of you. Let me give you credit for understanding history, because I'm still learning a lot about it myself. In June 1940, Churchill told the British Parliament that the Battle of Britain is about to begin. The German Luftwaffe began the bombing of British cities. Hitler expected that this would force Churchill to sign an armistice, but he was mistaken. Churchill later called the air campaign, quote, a time when it was equally good to live or die, unquote. He spoke of, quote, the buoyant and imperturbable temper of Britain, which I had the honor to express, unquote. In fact, he himself helped the British to define themselves as a proud people who would calmly resist evil. Other politicians would have found support in British public opinion to end the war. Churchill instead resisted, inspired, and won. The Royal Air Force, including 2 Polish squadrons and a number of other foreign pilots, held back the Luftwaffe without control of the air. Even Hitler could not imagine an amphibious invasion of Great Britain. Churchill did what others had not done. Rather than concede in advance, he forced Hitler to change his plans. The essential German strategy had been to remove any resistance in the West and then to invade, thus betraying the Soviet Union and colonize its western territories. In June 1941, with Britain still in the war, Germany attacked its Soviet ally. And it goes on and on, right up to the point where Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, December 7th, 1941. And from that moment on, a day of infamy, we were pulled into World War II. Now, this is far beyond what we're experiencing internally in our own country at this very moment in time. But the lesson is resistance. The lesson is drawing the line. When others were kowtowing to Adolf Hitler, when Neville Chamberlain, for lack of better comparison, was like the Republican Party in our nation's Congress, those Republican right-wingers who've kowtowed, bowed down, the corporate leaders, the corporate CEOs of Paramount and other big corporations that are doing whatever the tyrant boy king says he wants, are not a far stretch, that is, a far stretch to be compared. Paying fealty, obeying, bowing down, kissing the ring, as it were, doing anything but standing up in direct defiance of this authoritarian leadership is unacceptable. Take time to reflect. Read On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. Pick a chapter. Read it before bedtime. Don't let it ruin your night. Take care of yourselves. Take heart. Resist.